At the beginning of the movie, a woman is shown running away from a mysterious figure. She eventually decides to jump from a bridge and falls onto a truck carrying wooden logs passing beneath her. Marshall, a police officer, is currently at his ex-wife's house to take their daughter Faye to school. However, Marshall, aware that his daughter is now a teenager, advises her to be more cautious around any men. At a restaurant, Laura is seen having a conversation with an old man and plans to go to a hotel. Once at the hotel, the man starts undressing, but suddenly another man appears and hits him from behind, causing him to faint. It is revealed that the man who hit him is named Cooper, and he had just castrated the other man for a reason that has not yet been mentioned. Marshall is currently at the location where the woman who was shown running away at the beginning of the movie was found dead. Marshall and other police officers are investigating the woman's death, which is suspected to be due to rape because there were marks all over her body. In addition, new evidence shows that the victim had been given an aphrodisiac and birth control pills beforehand. Strangely, the victim also had damage to her eardrums, but no damage was found to her head. At Cooper's place, the old man gives Laura a pair of earrings that have transmitters embedded in them that can broadcast her location during their operations. It is also revealed that Cooper and Laura seem to frequently trap sex offenders. The purpose is to punish all of them for the indecent acts they committed against women. Now, Laura is going to act again and the plan to meet with her target at a cafe. However, after waiting for quite some time, the man she was waiting for is still not in sight. Eventually, she finds out that her target has been watching her from the parking lot. Cooper, who arrives late, now has to chase after Laura using signals he receives through his earring. Unfortunately, when he gets close to the car carrying Laura, he gets into an accident which causes him to lose the signal and lose track of Laura. The driver of the car that was hit comes out at the same time as the police patrol car passing by. As a result, Cooper now has to go to the police station and explain everything he was doing. From this point, it is revealed that Cooper is a former judge who was always successful in solving many big cases, including some cases that happened in the police station where Marshall works. Unfortunately, Cooper decided to quit his job right after his wife and daughter were killed in a murder and rape case. That is why Cooper is very motivated to punish all the bad men in the city. In the interrogation room, Cooper keeps rambling on about Lara's kidnapping case. Finally, Marshall and his team, who are also investigating a women's kidnapping case, decide to cooperate with Cooper. The search was conducted with the involvement of several other police officers, assisted by a drone to locate Lara's signal. Eventually, an ambush was carried out at a house that was the source of the signal. In the house, Marshall found another woman who had previously been kidnapped. One of them was named Julie, along with Laura, who appeared to be frightened in a room. The suspected mastermind of the kidnapping, named Simon, captured. At the police station, Simon, who was being interrogated by Rachel, showed a strange behavior. He appeared to be a person with a mental disorder that made his emotions very unstable. He did not answer some of the questions given to him. While crying, he asked to be sent back home. Meanwhile, Marshall received a report about the discovery of a device used to damage the eardrums of Simon's victims. Not only that, the police also found a lot of DNA from the location of Simon's house, including several items and photos of women who were believed to be the victims who were raped and murdered. Meanwhile, 6 police officers who were in Simon's basement suddenly died on the spot after inhaling a type of poisonous gas that came out of a pipe. The police who received the report became angry and were about to hit Simon, feeling that their teammates had been trapped by him. In the midst of the chaos, Simon began to ramble. When interrogated by Rachel, he started talking about a torture game called Winterbug. Now, the police are confused about the identity of the actual kidnapper, as Simon continues to ramble during his interrogation. The murder of 6 police officers also indicates the presence of another figure behind Simon. On the other hand, Julie's confession to Rachel pointed towards Simon. Julie mentioned that the person who had been holding her captive all this time had unstable emotions. Sometimes Simon pretended to be disabled, but sometimes he looked like a normal person. To add to the confusion, the police were once again shocked by the explosion of another police vehicle parked near the station. In the midst of the chaos, the police have now received new information about the old case of the murder of a woman named Annie, who is known to be Simon's biological mother. According to police data, Annie died by suicide in 1995. She was kidnapped and raped in 1986, but managed to escape while pregnant. Meanwhile, at Cooper's house, Rachel and Glasgow are seen searching for the data they need from Cooper's computer. It is revealed that Laura is Cooper's adopted daughter, who has always had all of her needs fulfilled, including the luxurious home they currently live in together. At the same time, Marshall is speaking with Cooper in a library. The police seem to know about Cooper's castration actions against sexual offenders in the city. Cooper claims that his actions are a fitting punishment for the criminals and that the punishments given by the state are not enough to deter them. This is compounded by the case that happened to his wife and daughter. It is not surprising that Cooper eventually collaborates with Laura to carry out the actions, which he believes are a fitting punishment for the criminals. Meanwhile, Rachel, who has a background in psychology, tries to delve into Simon's psyche by dressing casually and openly. She interrogates Simon with many questions and flirtatious gestures to encourage Simon to reveal the truth. Rachel begins to realize that there is another side to Simon's personality. Simon even reveals how his mother treated him like an animal in captivity. However, this does not last long, and Simon's emotions turn to rage and he attacks Rachel. Fortunately, at that moment, other police officers arrived and apprehended Simon. Rachel, who was calming herself down after being attacked by Simon, was startled by a large package with Marshall's name on it as the sender. She also found a piece of paper with the word Winterbug written on it, which reminded her of the type of game that Simon had always talked about. Rachel immediately suspected that the package contained a bomb and instructed all other officers to evacuate the building. At Glassow's house, a police officer who was also a co-worker of Marshall and Rachel had just arrived. He was shocked to find his girlfriend unconscious and their baby missing. He also found a message from the kidnapper asking him to release Simon, who was still in police custody, in exchange for the safety of their child. Quickly, Glasgow returned to the police station, which was now in chaos due to the bomb threat that Rachel had just received. Finally, Glasgow released Simon by giving him a police uniform to trick the other officers, and they arrived at a location where Simon picked up by a mysterious figure. Marshall, who realized that there was something suspicious about the package, immediately went to Simon's cell and found that he was no longer there. He was convinced that the package did not contain a bomb and approached it with two bomb disposal officers. When the package was opened, it turned out to contain Glassow's child who had been kidnapped by the same mysterious figure. It was just a bait. Back at the police station, Annie's file was reopened, and the investigation into the man who had kidnapped and impregnated her was directed towards a man named David, who was also an elderly man who had a car accident with Cooper at the beginning of the movie. Marshall and his team rushed to arrest the man who was suspected to be Simon's biological father, who was now known to be living in an apartment. Upon arrival, Marshall and the others were surprised to find Simon there, who had just killed David. They immediately arrested Simon. Meanwhile, Cooper, who had just arrived at his home, realized that Laura was no longer there and that his computer had apparently been hacked by someone who had snuck in and kidnapped her. Cooper immediately reported all the events to Marshall and demanded that the police find Laura quickly, or he would find her himself and punish the kidnapper in his own way. Meanwhile, Simon now asked Rachel for a chance to publicly apologize for all his actions. Unfortunately, when he was in the city center with many people watching, Simon started ranting and insulting all his victims. The police immediately stopped him and took Simon into custody from the families of the victims who were present at the location. Cooper, who was also there, decided to follow the car carrying Simon. In the middle of the road, he decided to crash his car into Simon's car, intending to kill him in his own way. Unfortunately, Cooper's car overturned, and he managed to grab Simon. Surprisingly, a mysterious figure appeared from behind Cooper and shot him. It turned out that the mysterious figure was Simon, who had been arrested by the police before and was mentally down. The Simon who had killed David was actually his identical twin brother, Bob, who appeared normal but had a psychopathic personality. They were identical twins, making it difficult to tell them apart. Now back to the story. Marshall, who was examining the CCTV footage in Simon's holding room, noticed something strange. He realized that Simon didn't have a multiple personality, but there were two different individuals. The first Simon he arrested, who had a disability, was seen writing with his right hand, while the Simon who was arrested for killing David was seen writing with his left hand. Marshall then realized that Simon was an identical twin. Marshall also found a signal blocker device that had been installed in Bob's teddy bear. After removing it, the signal from Lara was detected, showing a location near a lake far from the city. At the same time, Simon's twin was seen preparing the Winterbug game on a frozen lake, with two plastic bags containing Rachel and Lara inside. The bags were smeared with oil, and the two twins began to throw flaming balls at the bags from the edge of the lake. However, the game didn't last long. The police arrived there and the Simon twins fled into the woods. Marshall and his team pursued the Simon twins by entering the forest. Unfortunately, Rachel, who insisted on accompanying them, was captured by Bob, while Marshall managed to capture Simon. Now they are exchanging their hostages in the middle of the frozen lake. In a chaotic emotional state, Bob threatened Rachel by shooting the ice surface beneath her, causing some of the ice to crack. Seizing the opportunity, Marshall released Simon and ordered him to run towards his twin and hug him immediately. Stupidly, Simon followed Marshall's orders, causing the surface of the frozen lake, which could not withstand the weight of the twins' bodies, to crack and causing both of them to fall into the very cold water. The Simon twins now breathed their last breath in the frozen lake, while Marshall, who was shot by Bob, was rescued by Rachel. At the end of the film, we see Lara, who is so brave in letting Cooper, her adoptive father, died. Meanwhile, Faye, who was picked up by Marshall, was surprised that her beloved father had found the right person for him. And it was Rachel. And the movie ends.